Yai, yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, lai, yai, yai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, yai, 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 yai. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, lai, yai. Yai, lai, lai, yai, yai. Yai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, yai. Yai, lai, lai, yai, 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 yai. Az yarshir Moshe uvenei Yisrael et hashira hazot ladonai vayomru lemor hashira ladonai ki gaoga sus verochvo Ramavayam Ozi vezimratia Vayehi lilishua Ze'eli ve'anvehu Elohei avi Varom amenhu. The Shirah, meaning song, melody, is associated with the biblical chanting of the Song of the Sea. From today's Torah portion, which is Beshalach, it's sung during the actual crossing of the sea, giving name to both this week's Shabbat Shirah, the Sabbath of Song, as well as the name of the musical text, Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea. The melody associated with this reading is of victory and deliverance and triumph. They get out. I'm going to invite you into the mind of a cantor for the next few minutes. One of the primary functions of ritual music is to facilitate collective experiences. We have a shared mythic consciousness that is rooted in our sacred sounds, and understanding and hearing this ritual music in community engenders a deeper sense of collectivity and community. Cantor Andrew Bernard says, music triggers emotional associations that bind worshipers to the significance of the moment and simultaneously to one another. We deeply, and maybe without even knowing it, get it. We share the nusach of prayer associated with Shabbat evening, Baruch atah Adonai Hamari Varavim, or Erev Rosh Hashanah. Baruch atah Adonai Hamari Varavim. We can close our eyes, and like a modern-day Rip Van Winkle, whenever we open them, just by what we hear, we know what time of day it is and what day of the year it is. We can identify that just by the musical motif that we hear. We also share signature moments, say leading up to the high holidays, when Michamocha is sung to Lishana Tova Tikatevu. I know it's a long time away, but you'll remember. Or before Hanukkah, when it's sung to Ma'otzor Yeshuati. This demonstrates the power of a well-known melody that everyone recognizes, that even when separated from its original source and its time and place that it's normally associated with, it evokes an instant musical association. So maybe conjuring up a childhood memory, or a family memory, or even lost traditions, or maybe a new practice. These moments create what I want to call Jewish musical peoplehood. I think that's going to catch on. It's not going to catch on. We also use musical quotations, which sounds weird. So in the case of the biblical way of chanting the Song of the Sea, and you just heard me chant one way of doing that, it's a spontaneous proclamation sung by the Israelites following their crossing of the sea, and its connection to a biblical moment of triumph now allows it to reflect glory, majesty, gratitude, survival, and triumph whenever it's heard in other places. So I opened with a Sephardic way of singing this melody Our Ashkenazic tradition, my Ashkenazic training, which are those who our ancestors lived along the River Rhine in Eastern Europe, this Shirah sounds like this. Is that familiar to anyone? It will be soon. In our history, when individuals or groups were compelled to express intense feelings related to a profound sense of release, they turned to the Shirah melody. Biblical episodes are associated with this melody. So when the melody is heard in another liturgical passage, our ears are stimulated to associate victory and gratitude and triumph. The melody feeds the text with extra interpretive meaning, which unlocks deeper emotions and memories. Now I'm going to draw you even further into my inner cantorial life. What do we hear when we finish reading every book of the Torah? We only hear this 5 times a year. We sing the words, Chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek. It means be strong, and may you be strengthened. So already you can imagine, this might be a place where we might hear the Shirah melody. I'll remind you what the second half of the melody sounds like. Chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek. The triumph of finishing a book of Torah. That's a really big deal. Well, our hearts and our ears know this from what they remember from the biblical chanting of the Song of the Sea. One of our most memorable melodies from Yom Kippur is the Vidui, or the confessional. You would know this as Ashamnu. Yai dai dai. Do you hear any notes in there that have a similarity to the yai lai lai? It's that yadadai. So there's so much written about why in this litany of the confessional, of our transgressions and all the ways that we haven't been our best self over the year. Why is this paired with this nigun, which feels so whimsical, given to us by our Hasidic ancestors? They teach us this, giving us something that reflects our feelings when we're dealing with senses of uncertainty or vulnerability or being confronted with our own failings. And we're reminded through this triumphant melody of the possibility of hope and the potential for victory over detrimental patterns from our past and the actions that we're sorry for. So when we sing the nigun and we thump our hearts, we know through the music that we sing that it is truly possible to triumph over the parts of us we don't love so much and have a very sacred faith in ourselves and the potential to be our very best self. Music does that. Our Hasidic master taught there are castles in the upper spheres which open only to song. Fortunately for us, we know how to sing. So I'm going to invite you to please rise and turn to page 250 as we take the Torah out of the ark. Ki mitzion, mitzei Torah, u'devar Adonai beYerushalayim. Ki mitzion, mitzei Torah, u'devar Adonai beYerushalayim. Ki mitzion, mitzei Torah, u'devar Adonai beYerushalayim. Ki mitzion, Tetzei Torah, Shato, Tzion, Titzei Torah, U'devar Adonai me'Yerushalayim, Mitzion, Titzei Torah, U'devar Adonai me'Yerushalayim. I'm going to let you sit for a second, so please have a seat. I'll let you. Hi. It's been a whole year. This is very exciting. You see who it's exciting for. This is the Song of the Sea. It's beautiful. This is one of very few places where the Torah says something unique is happening. Come in and learn more and study me and come into my story. Some people think that this unusual way of navigating the lines symbolizes or looks like the bricks that the Israelite slaves laid as they built the pyramids and built Egypt. Some people feel that this looks like the waves of water that parted as they crossed the sea. You're going to hear that Shirah melody every time I say a line where the name of God is and where God is triumphant. So you'll listen for it. But before we do, I'm going to ask you to turn to page 250, and we'll chant the blessing before the Torah reading together. Traditionally, this is one of two places in the Torah where the congregation stands for the Torah reading. So if you are so moved, and if you have the energy to cross the Red Sea with us, I want to invite you to stand. Do you know where the other place is? The Ten Commandments. In a couple of weeks. Let's say the blessing together. Baruch hu et Adonai hamborach. Baruch Adonai hamborach leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. Amen. Amen. Az yashir Moshe u'bnei Yisrael et hashira hazot l'Adonai ve'yomru lemor ashira l'Adonai ki ga'o ga'a sus v'rochvo rama bayam Ozi vezimratia vayahili lishua ze eli ve'anvehu Elohei avi ve'omamenhu Adonai ish milchama Adonai shemo merkavo paro v'chelo varavayam umivchar shleishav tabu ve'amsuf tehomot yachasiemu Yirdu mitzvot kevod aven. Yemincha Adonai nedari b'koach. Yemincha Adonai tirat soyev. Uveruach geoncha taharos kamecha. Tishalach haroncha yachlemu kahash. Uveruach apecha ne'armu vayam natzvu kemoned kozlim kafu tehomot balev yam amar oyev erdof asig achalek shal timla'emu nafshi arik charbi torishemu yadi Nashafta beruchacha kasimu yam tzalalu keferet b'mayim ardirim. This is on page 40. Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osef eleh. Let's do that again because you know it. Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osef eleh, נטית ימינך תבלעמו הארץ. נחית בחסדך עמזו גאלת. נהלת בעוזך אל נווה קודשך.
שכוח.
And together we chant the blessing after. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. While they roll the Torah and dress the Torah, I will remind you that any time that you're feeling a little blue and you need to feel a lift or a little bit more triumphant or victorious in your life, you have this music to strengthen you. It's ours. Use it.